Hello everyone, it's Maria here from Pebbley Rose Paper Crafting. I am an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator in Australia. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to feature my cheats way of doing a no-line watercolouring images using the Floral Essence stamp set, and I love this flower, and I'm also going to be using the leaves off the To a Wild Rose stamp set as well. Both of these stamp sets are the up-and-coming new sets which will be available next week. I think it's next week, the 4th of June. So if you are interested in purchasing these from me, you may do so through my online store at pebbleyrose.stampinup.net at that time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple of ways you can do no-line watercolouring. You can use a blender pen or you can use an aqua painter. This is a Zig aqua painter or H2O brush. What I love about this particular brush is it's got a really super fine tip. So that's why I'm using this particular brush today. And as you know, I love my blender pens. Now, to do this no-line watercolouring, I'm going to be using my Faber Castell watercolour pencils. I love these pencils, and I find that this particular way of doing the no-line watercolouring works out to be really fast for me. I tried using ink pads and the ink, and I ended up making a huge mess. So this is my way of doing things. So what I will be doing is I've got some, you can use watercolour paper. So I'm going to use some watercolour paper, and I've just got a scratch piece of paper here. So with the leaf, I'm going to stamp that out in smoky slate. So I'm going to use my lightest grey. I'm going to stamp it out twice, and I'm going to put it up there. Instead of using Sahara sand, I'm using the lightest colour that I'll be using. My leaves are going to be grey, okay? So as you can see, there's a bit of an outline now. We will go over that outline again using an equivalent watercolour pencil to smoky slate. Okay, so this is how I like to do it. So the flower is going to have two colours. So I'm using Blushing Bright. I'm going to stamp that out twice. And I'm going to stamp that one in here. Again, very faint outline. Twice, and then like that. I tried doing that before with, I'll show you. I tried doing it before with the Sahara sand, and you could still see it through the paper. And I didn't like the look of that. So this is how this looks with watercolour paper, with water brush and with a blender pen. So I'll show you in this way, and we'll see what you think. So I'm just going to clean my stamps very quickly. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Blushing Bright equivalent pencil. That's my equivalent. Yes. Oh, hang on. This one. This is more the equivalent, I think. All right, so I'm just going to trace over the image there. So you just trace. I'm going to do this in real time so you can see how fast this way is. And it's a bit hard to see at times, the image, but I think that's that one there. With the flower, it doesn't have to be precise, so it's quite forgiving. And then you can do it like that. Doesn't have to be precise, as I said. It can just be roughly. So that goes like that. That's as a rough guide. And then I'm going to just do a basic colouring over the top of that very lightly. And then I'm going to do the same on this one. See, there was probably some details I missed on the other one because it was a bit too faint. But you get the picture. Like, you just trace around the image as much as you can. Like that. Like that, and like that. This is just rough stuff, because don't forget this will be blended out, so it won't look so messy. So I'll just blend all this stuff out. like that. Then I'll do a quick little colour over the top. And then for the middle part, I'm going to do like a brown and colour that in like that. And just add flecks as well. This is just rough stuff. As I said, it's not going to be precise, but this gives you an idea of how it will blend with a blender pen and with your watercolour pencils and how quick. So that's the equivalent there. Then for my leaves, I'm going to do smoky slate equivalent. So I'll pick up my smoky slate pencil. I'm calling it smoky slate. Looks very similar, and I'm just tracing over the image. This is great to work with because these are lines. Makes it that much easier. Love that. And again. Okay, and just do a light once over, very lightly on that. Do the same on this one. Okay, and like that, and then I'll just do a quick once over of colour. Okay, so as you can see, it is a mess, but when you add water or your blender pen, it will look very different. Okay, so what I've decided is that this side's going to be watercolour and this side will be the blender pen. So we'll start off with the blender pen just to show you how it all kind of just mixes up. So I'm going from lightest to darkest, and then I'll scribble off the colour. And so that's how that looks, okay? Then I'll do the same here. And because the colours are so similar, you don't see any, you know, Sahara sand underneath it. Okay, so that's one lot. Then I'm going to start on the flower, so I'm going from lightest to darkest. And I'm going to do one petal at a time. And then I try not to get rid of the detail too much, but I want it to look like it's been painted on as well. So I kind of blur it a little bit. And that gives you the shading at the same time. And then I do this one. So that's that one. Blend up the colour there a little bit more. So that's that one there. So light to dark. So this is pretty quick. So if you want the kind of the look of no line watercolouring, you lay down the colours that you want on your page first, on your image. So you'd provide like a rough like shading of where you want the extra colour to be. And then that way, in one step, you do your shading and your details without going overboard. So it's already looking really good. I quite like this. As I said, this is my cheats way of doing it. So you kind of blend that out a little bit. Make sure it looks nice and smooth. Okay, and then I'll start going into the other middle colour. Okay, so that is now, and it's instantly dry. So that's your no line watercolouring on these two using the blender pen. Now let's do the aqua brush, water brush. Now just to let you know guys, this is done in 10 minutes, 2 images. So let's start now on the grey using the water. Try not to have a lot of water on your brush if you can. Okay, try and keep it as dry as you can, so then that way you don't lose the details. Oops. And again, just do it this way. Okay. And I'll do the same there. And I'll just follow the shading, basically the vines of the leaf, the veins of the leaf. And then I'll just go on along the outside of the image and just go over with the paintbrush a little bit so it looks more like I painted it on. And go on the outside. And that's it. So that's the watercolour version of that. I was being very careful not to overblend because I don't want to lose the details. Now let's try the flower. I'll go from lightest to dark. Okay, that looks pretty. That looks really pretty. Go like that. So I'm just showing you the technique, but not a card, okay? So maybe in my next video I'll show you how to make them into a card, how I'd put it together with the images cut out. Okay, so then I'll go to this one here. Let's keep that nice and light. Try and keep the lines of each individual petal so that they don't get mixed up and become one big giant image. And that's the way. So go light to dark. And go light to dark. And again, go here. Light to dark. And go light to dark. Tried to make, you know, the lines, like those lines, not so obvious that they're lines, if that makes sense. So then we'll go like this, light to dark. For me, this is by far the easiest way to do a no-line watercolouring look. And then I'll just very lightly go over the top of the lines, the outlines, with my pen, with my aqua brush, sorry. And that way just blurs it just a tad so it doesn't look so obvious that I've drawn that in with a pencil. Okay, so now I'm going to do the middle part. That can be a mess, doesn't matter. And this is where I like to flick up. That I don't mind if it has like the little bit of definition. This is why I like the detailer brush, because it allows me to do little details. So this is an extra fine tip. Okay. And anywhere that you feel needs more colour, you can kind of pull it a bit, but I'll leave it as is. And I'm going to go back with my blender pen and just give those a bit of a blend out, just a tad, so it spreads the colour. So that's with the blender pen. And that is blender pen, and that is my watercolour, no line watercolouring. Let me know what you think. I've done 4 images in 16 minutes using my watercolour pencils. You can use any brand you like. This is the brand I have because I got this on special, and it had something, it's got 120 cut pencils. So for me, this is more complete than buying pencils in drips and drabs. So I bought it and I got it at a great price, 40% off, so I was very, very happy. So let me know which of these you think. So you can achieve the no line watercolouring look pretty quickly. If this happens and you have a bit of a mess, say there with your watercolouring, what you can do is you can bring back your pencil. This is why I love pencils. You can go back with your pencil, so let's just do that and redefine those lines, okay? So let's just do this again, redefine those lines a little bit. And this is with the watercolour pencil, right? And this is done with the watercolouring. So I made a bit of a mess there. So you can then go back with your watercolour pencil, with your water brush, I keep calling watercolour pencil, and just go over the details just very lightly so you don't lose as much of it. And do the same. And you can do the same with the blender pen too. So now that looks much better. Just make sure you don't have a lot of water in your brush. And that's it. I think that looks a lot better now. You can do the same with the blender pen too. A lot of that detail went, so I'll bring back those pencils again. I didn't realise that, I just looked at that now. So, grab my watercolour pencil, go back over the details. If you like, yeah, go like that. And then you just grab your blender pen, just give it a quick once over, just to make sure that the veins look like they kind of blend in. And it's really good with the watercolour paper too. So just go over that a little bit more so it doesn't look so harsh. Squeeze a bit more water. Oops. Too much water. Okay, I'll leave it now, I think, because sometimes the more I touch things, the worse they get. Okay, a little bit more here. Just blend that out, because that's like shading. All right. Flick that out a bit more. I love watercolour paper, it's very forgiving. Okay, I think I'm done now. But let me know what your thoughts are. What do you prefer? watercolour pencil or blender pen, using your watercolour pencils to do that no-line watercolouring. Okay, now these two sets can be bought on the 4th of June, the Floral Essence and To, a Wild Rose. I love that leaf image. I really love it. And you don't even have to use watercolour pencils or whatever. You can just stamp the colours and it will give you that watercolour look as well. So this set's a really good one, and I love this one too. So let me know. And if you want to purchase those sets, you can get them on the 4th of June, which is when our new annual catalogue goes live. So I'd like to thank you all for watching, and please give me some feedback in the comments below and let me know which one of these images you prefer. I think I have a favourite, to be honest, and it's this one. And that's with the blender pen. I'm obsessed with blender pen and my watercolour pencils. But yeah, you can achieve that look too with your alcohol markers as well. So yeah, food for thought. All right, guys, take care, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.